Hello, 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 everybody. All right, this is super exciting. I've been waiting for this all day. And so I am just going to make sure that we are streaming and we are live. If you're joining me live, say hi. Hi in the comments. Let me know you're here. If you end up watching the replay, type in the chat hashtag replay. This is going to be an exciting time because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things, which is content marketing. Love, love, love. All right, let me see. Yes, we're here. We're live. This is amazing. Okay. So if you're here live, say hi, wave, type in the chat. Let me know you're here. Watching the replay, say hashtag replay. And hi, Dr. Amy Paul. Hi. And I want you to do what I just did. I want you to share this, okay? So in the EntreMD world, one of the things we're doing is the mass business education of physicians. So, people talk about the loss of autonomy, talk about how people are burned out, they don't enjoy practicing medicine anymore, talk about the lack of financial security and all of that. And that's part of what we fix in the EntreMD world, right? This is a movement. It's not just about me, it's about we, right? So I want you to hit that share button. I want you to share this video on your social media platforms with the doctors in your life. I want you to tag doctors in the comments. I want this to be a two-way conversation. I am just 100% here to give you value, to share with you. This is going to be so, so, so amazing, okay? We are going to be talking about how to generate multiple six, seven-figure paydays from your content, okay? So we're talking about YouTube, a YouTube channel, a podcast, a blog, one of my favorite things to talk about. And this is our day 3. Okay, we're doing the EntreMD Facebook Live-a-thon, and the first day we talked about the number one moneymaker a lot of entrepreneurs are ignoring, and that is your content, like creating consistent strategic content. Okay, strategic, consistent content creation. We talked about that. And then day 2, we talked about one thing, like if you're not going to do this thing, don't bother creating content. And that's that call to action. I dare say a strong call to action, which is amazing. And today we're going to talk about how do you even make money from this? Like, is this a passion project? We're already busy. Is this just some extra thing to make us even busier? Or is this a real deal? Is this a revenue generator? Does this matter for our business, right? And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. And really, in the world we live in, I've had a lot of conversations with people who run 7 and 8 figure businesses, and there was a lot of reliance on ads, and ads are amazing. Don't get me wrong, they're amazing. It's like pouring gasoline on the fire called your business. Okay, it's amazing, but they're noticing that we're not, especially with the iOS updates and all the things that have happened in that part of the world, if you will, they're not converting as well, not as easy to retarget, and it's a lot more expensive. So you'll notice a lot of people are like, okay, we had the ad strategy. We also want to add the organic content creation strategy, content marketing strategy, if you will. And so this is something that the greats are looking at. Again, this is something you really want to embrace, but you want to do it strategically, okay? I am all about, focusing on the 20% of the things you do that give you the 80% of the results, right? So how do we do this in a way that it makes a difference for our business, which means that we're able to serve more and we're able to earn more? Remember, great business does both. It serves and it earns, okay? So let's look into that, okay? So now when I talk about your platform, if I use that term, I'm referring to your YouTube channel, your podcast, your blog. If you have one, I want you to type in the chat what you have. So if it's a YouTube channel, just type YouTube and put the name of your YouTube channel. If you have a podcast, do the same. If you have a blog, do the same. If you've made a decision, you're going to start one, because we made decisions on day 1. I want you to type what that's going to be. Oh, my podcast is on the way. My blog is on the way. My YouTube channel is on the way. Type that in the chat, okay? I believe as physicians, we should be content creators, right? We have so much to say. We have so much expertise. We have so much knowledge, so much experience. We have a heart for helping people. Like, this is our jam, right? And so we should be content creators. The world is waiting for what we have to say, okay? And even more so if you have a business, all right? So is your content creation, is that going to be a waste of time? Or is that going to be like a passion project? Is that going to be something that makes your busy life already busier? Or is it going to be something that can generate multiple six, seven figures in revenue for you? Could it be something that creates all the marketing dollars for your business, or something that creates extra revenue so that you can invest in real estate and stocks or Bitcoin or whatever you want to invest in? Could it be that thing that replaces your physician's salary? Could your content do that? Now, of course, the answer is yes, right? And so I want to show you 3 ways you can do that. There are many more ways. There are 10 ways, 11 ways, 20 ways. There's so many ways you can do that. But I want to give you the top 3 ways, and I want you to lean into it, because at the end, I want us to make decisions, right? What is that going to be for me? Or maybe you're already kind of sort of doing it, but this is the version that you're going to own. Like, this is the way my business is my platform is going to generate revenue. Now, before we go into that, if you think about it and you're like, but I really just want to serve people, I'm not looking to make money from my platform, right? I want to talk about that for a second, because if you think that way, then you're not going to generate revenue from it, okay? When we serve people, we get a thank you note called money, okay? Why are we talking about your platform creating multiple six, seven figures? It's not just the numbers as the money, but it also represents the magnitude of the impact that you have. It's just that dollars are easier to measure, right? So when you think about this, I don't want you to think in terms of, oh, that means I'm manipulating people, I'm taking their money, I'm only doing this for the money. Of course, you're not only doing it for the money. You're doing it to serve people. But when you serve people, you get a thank you note called money. Okay, and so there's nothing wrong with earning from your platform. There's something wrong, terribly wrong, with earning from your platform if you are not serving, right? But if you are serving, there's nothing wrong with earning. In fact, there's something wrong with not earning, right? Because that means you're serving people, but there's no thank you, right? And so serving and earning is great. So I want you to type that in the chat. Serving and earning is a great thing to do. Serving and earning is great. Serving and earning is right. Serving and earning is not bad. Like, choose a version, whatever version works for you. But this needs to be clear that there's nothing wrong with earning. There's nothing wrong with saying, I want my podcast to generate this much at all. Okay? All right. So let's talk about the 3 ways. Number one is informational products. And when I talk about informational products, I'm talking about things like courses, okay? I'm talking about things like courses. And what does that mean? Well, that means on your podcast, you are advertising your course, right? And in the process of doing that, over the course of a year, you can easily generate multiple 6 or 7 figures in revenue. Okay, now you might go like, how is that even possible? Let's think about it. If you had a course that was $2,000, for instance, and you have times when you launch it, you have times where you talk about it, or maybe something that's evergreen, so you just flat out talk about it, and even if 50 people bought in the course of a whole year, so we're talking about 4.5 people buying every month, you're at $100,000. Right? And so we're not even talking about a heavy, big push or anything like that. Just think about that. You're already at $100,000. Now, if you're going to be somebody who generates revenue, you're going to be someone who's strategic. So that's why we started from where we started from day one, which means that you will talk to your ideal client all the time about the problem that you solve for them all the time, the outcomes that you give. You may share testimonials. Maybe you even interview people who've taken your course before and they did really well with it and all this. So you're talking about it. You're talking about things that people do, they get wins from, and the next logical step is for them to sign up for your course. You're giving people wins every week, so they're like, my goodness, if I get wins just from the free stuff, what will happen if I actually did the paid stuff, right? So so you're strategic about your content. And day 2, we talked about the call to action. So you're using your call to action. You're telling them, hey guys, I have this course. This is the outcome you can get from it. I'd love you to check it out. This is what has happened with the people who have done the course. And they're like, oh my goodness, I want to do that. Okay? And if you did that over the course of a year, If you did 50, that's 100 grand. If you did 100, that's 200 grand, right? And the multiples go on and on and on. So is that a viable way, right, to have your podcast, YouTube, blog generate revenue 100%? And many, many, many people have done it. In fact, the person who is the godmother, if you will, of digital courses would be Amy Potterfield, right? And she, she's been there, I don't know, she's been in that space for 10 years or more, right? And she has a podcast, and when she launches her course, she goes heavy on her podcast, talking about it and all of that stuff. And she generates, I mean, in her business, she's generating 8 figures, right? And her podcast is a vehicle that she uses to talk about that. Okay, so number one is courses. Okay, so you can type that in the chat. Number one way to monetize, to get multiple 6 and 7 figure paydays from my platform is courses, informational products. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is services, right? So you're talking about your services. And I want to use two that are fairly common in the physician space. So this could be services like you're a coach. This could be services like you run a private podcast, you run a private practice. Okay, so either of those two, those are services. And so let's say you had a podcast or you had a YouTube channel or a blog as a private practice owner. Now, the beautiful thing about private practice is that people know that you're in private practice and people know that you're looking for patients. So there's absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, it's almost seamless after every episode or every video, or after every blog piece to say, hey, and if you are in the XYZ area and you're looking for this kind of doctor, check us out here. You can go here to schedule an appointment. You can do that for every piece of content that you create because people know you're in private practice. Of course, you're going to give them a call to action to come check you out, right? Now, I did a version of this when I was still seeing patients 5 days a week. I did this as a Facebook Live. It was called the Legacy Parent Show. And I would go on every Thursday, 1:30 p.m., and I would talk to people about parenting confidently, and all of that. And with everyone, I was like, and listen, if you're in the Gwinnett County area, you're looking for an amazing pediatrician, you don't have to look anymore. Come check us out at Ivy League Pediatrics. You can go here to schedule an appointment, okay? I didn't know what I'm teaching you now, so I had no idea how well it will work. It worked so well. Like, I'm like, oh, so how did you find out about us? When I'll be seeing patients in the office, like, oh, I watched the Legacy Parent Show, and it was very clear who my pediatrician should be. It worked so well that when I wanted to scale back how often I was going into the office to see patients, I had to stop the show. That's how well it worked. And so if you're private practice, a YouTube channel, it is perfect for you. It's like people get to sample you, they get to experience you, they get to go like, oh my goodness, that his bedside manner must be so good, and then, oh, look at how she takes the time to explain things, the know, like, and trust factor grows. It's not like a static picture of somebody on a website and you're needing to make a choice of a doctor from that. This is someone you've experienced. And the person's like, come schedule an appointment. Of course, that's what you do. But let me show you something. Let's make an assumption that you're doing content every week. You're doing a YouTube channel every week as a private practice owner, and you have 5 patients a week go like, that's the doctor I want. 5 days a week, okay? For 50 weeks a year, right? So none for Thanksgiving and none for Christmas. Let's say that, right? And let's say you were doing $200 per visit, and on average, people saw you 5 times a year. I am totally making up all these numbers, okay? So let's say that's what you did. All right, I'm using the lowest numbers I can find, okay? That means the yearly value of a patient is $1,000, right? So 5 visits, $200 per visit, that's $1,000. And if you did 5 patients a week for 50 weeks, that's 250 patients for the year. What does that come to? $250,000. Like, doing a YouTube channel, showing up every week, putting strategic content on there, giving them a strong call to action can literally put multiple 6 figures add that to your private practice every single year. And we're not talking about ads, we're not talking about any of those advanced strategies, we're just talking about showing up weekly, answering questions that people ask you in the office every week, and you just stay consistent doing that, right? So think about an extra $250,000. Who here is like, I would like an extra $250,000, right? Let me know in the chat. Let me know. You go like, yeah, I would like that. I would like that, right? So think about it. Think about that's the power. So then the question becomes, if I'm not doing this, what am I leaving on the table, right? Because you might say, no, Dr. Una, my practice is working without it. Yeah, but how much better would it work with that, right? How much better would it work? Okay, so that's on one side. What if you're a coach? What if you're a coach and you work with people? I can even use the EntreMD Business School. So EntreMD, we have a number of ways of serving people, and we do that through our free podcast. That's the EntreMD podcast. Amazing podcast, and so many people have gotten massive wins from there. We are heading towards 250,000 downloads on that podcast. We do that through the EntreMD method book, which I call our $16 MBA. Do I have a copy here? Okay, I have a copy here. It's my fifth child. The EntreMD method book. So that's like your $16 MBA, and it is a proven roadmap, right, for doctors who want to live life and practice medicine on their terms. If you don't have a copy, you should get a copy. If you have a copy, post it in the chat. Post a picture of you with it in the chat. But anyway, okay. And then we have the EntreMD method. We have the EntreMD Business School, and I like to say it's my year-long program, but it's not. I have people who are about to start their third year in it. They're like, I'm never leaving, right? And it's the business school it's phenomenal. People come in there, they're building wildly successful businesses. We have people from startup all the way to multiple seven figures, all of that in there. It's phenomenal. It's $15,000 for the year, which I tell people that's the least it will ever be. And I mean, like, if I wanted to do an MBA in Emory, I would pay $142,000. And so think about the savings, right? Incredible. So let's say in my podcast, I'm talking about it. Okay, I'm talking about it, and in the course of a whole year, I have 10 people make a decision to join the EntreMD Business School because of the podcast. What is that? That's $150,000. If I had 20 people, which is less than 2 people a month on average, that's $300,000. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you can create multiple 6-figure, 7-figure paydays from a podcast. You have to be consistent. You have to be strategic, right? You have to be comfortable with your call to action. You have to do a good, job with the clients that you do serve and all of that. But can you do that? Yes. So what is another way to do that? Services. So whether you're a private practice or you're a coach or you have a program or whatever, right? That's the second way to do that. Now, there's strategies around that, but it's totally doable. So that's the second thing. The third thing, and you may have seen this, either maybe you didn't recognize it or you didn't realize the power of it. And that is affiliates. Okay, that is affiliates. And so maybe you will see somebody, and this does not mean anytime anybody's promoting something, that's what's happening, but a lot of times that is what's happening. People say, for instance, for me, I may have somebody who is involved in, let me pick the thing, tax planning. Okay, so they help people with tax planning, and let's say they have a course, right? How to reduce your tax liability, how to do it, ethically and legally, and all of that stuff. And they have this course that's $2,000. It's an evergreen course, which means there's no real live component to it, and it's $2,000. Now, the person who does that would love to have the people who are my listeners have access to it and know about it. I wouldn't mind it because I don't offer that service, but my people may need that service, right? The people who listen to me. And so they say, hey, will you promote this on your podcast? And it will be an affiliate relationship. Now, for things that are evergreen, it's usually somewhere between 30 to 50%, believe it or not. So if the person does $2,000, they may say $2,000, I will take $1,000, you take $1,000. That's kind of the way it plays out. So again, so imagine that. So think about it. Maybe, the first 3 months of the year before tax season, right? I am talking about this course. Maybe I've done it and it's made a huge difference in my business. I really believe in the course and I'm like, oh my goodness, you guys should check this out. This course saved me, $50,000 in taxes. And people sign up for it, right? And let's say 100 people sign up for it. Right? It's not my course. I don't have to do anything except promote it. And if 100 people signed up over the course of a year or those first 3 months of the year when I talked about it, guess what that is? That's $100,000. Do you see what I mean? Like, so there are people who do full-on launches for other people's courses because they're affiliates, and that generates multiple six figures in their own businesses, right? So do you see what I'm saying? That a podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog is something to be respected because it can generate enough to replace your salary as a physician. It can generate enough for you to have enough to invest in other vehicles, real estate, stock, and all of that stuff. It can give you enough to pay for some lifestyle thing that you want to do. So if that's the case, the question becomes, how should I treat my platform? Definitely not as a passion project, except it is a passion project. But if it is a vehicle you want to use to grow your business, meaning grow the level of impact you have in the world and grow the level of revenue you're generating, then you don't want to treat it like a passion project because that's not what it is, right? So it means you respect the platform. You learn to use the platform. You learn to create strategic content. It's worth creating consistent content because this is your ticket to a bigger impact. Okay? So what do I want you to do today? I want you to own the way you are going to generate revenue with your platform. And you might say, Dr. Un, I don't have my platform yet. Yeah, but you can decide. I'm going to have a YouTube channel in the next 30 days or the next 60 days. I'm going to have a podcast in the next day. Any of those, right? So you can decide what that is, but how are you going to generate revenue? So I want you to type that in the chat. Are you going to do that through informational products like courses and stuff like that? Are you going to do that through services, whether that's like coaching, consulting, speaking, a private practice, any of those things? Are you going to do that through affiliates where you're like, I have this big audience and all of that stuff, and the things that I already use, the things I already love to use, the products I already believe in, I'll just share with my audience and then I get a cut from that. Okay, so how are you going to do that? Let me know in the chat. Okay, so is it informational? Is it services? Is it affiliates? All right, I want you to own that in the chat, and I want you to really think about this. I want you to think like the next 12 months, you're going like, you know what? I didn't think she knew what she was talking, but Dr. Uno is right. Like, look at that. I generated 200,000 from my platform. We don't abuse platforms anymore. We don't treat them as they're not the really valuable things that they are, because they are so valuable. If you're here, you're going like, I want more clients, I want more patients. You want to really embrace this. Okay, you want to really embrace this. Okay. Now, this is what I want to leave you with. Okay, because this is so mind blowing. I just love it. I love organic content creation, content marketing. I love it. And the beautiful thing is, if you decide, and I want to do ads, you've already created the fire. You're just putting gasoline on the fire. It's like, right? It's amazing. So amazing. All right, so this is the deal. Now, if you are going to create a podcast, YouTube channel, blog that is going to create this kind of impact, what is the number one thing that you need? Right? Well, maybe not number one, but one is a very important thing that you need. You need an audience. You need an audience. You need to be able to grow an audience. You need to be able to grow a following. You need to be able to have raving fans, right? And all of that. And so tomorrow, very next video we're going to be looking at is what is the number one way to grow my audience? Okay, what is the number one way to grow my audience? Because this works. It requires strategic content, but it requires people who follow it, because people are the people you're going to impact and the people who are going to buy. Okay, so what is the number one way to grow my audience? So I want you to make sure that you set the calendar for tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. You're going to be here. You're going to be here with your friends, and we're going to look at the way to grow your audience. You may think like, well, I'm an introvert, or I don't know how to do that, or I'm shy, or any of that stuff. You can do this. Okay, you can do this, and I'm going to show you how. There is a system to it. Okay, there's a framework for it, and we're going to look at the framework. Okay. All right, so I want you to do this before you get off. I want you to type in the chat your number one takeaway from today. Number one takeaway, what you're going to do differently because of what you learned today. I want to let you know for sure that I know that you can create a platform I know that you can up-level your platform and bring it to that point where it is, when people say multiple streams of income, this is like a stream for you, right? It's the stream from your podcast or your YouTube, or and if kids can do it, if other people can do it, so can you. It's a skill. We can all learn it. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. Super excited. If you haven't said hey in the chat yet, in the comments yet, say hey. I'm gonna come back and look at all the comments. If you have questions, post them. I'm happy to answer them, and share this video with the doctors in your life. They will thank you forever. Okay, but because this is our time where we're going to build profitable businesses so we can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on our terms. So thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow, 1 p.m., the #1 way to grow your audience.